Hey guys, Mark with Think Insurance. Today we're going to talk about a little bit more of some of the laws that are changing with Michigan that we haven't gone over before. If you're new to this channel, if you're in Michigan, this is strictly for you. For those of you that want to learn out what is going crazy in Michigan, you're going to find out. This is really some crazy stuff that's happened. As most of you know, the state of Michigan has completely changed the laws of insurance. So now that the state minimums have gone up, they call the minimums $250, $500, but they're actually $50 and $100. You can go lower, but they're just making you sign for that now, every single renewal. They also have added some more limited tort or mini tort, as they call it. They've added some more money to that and a whole bunch of other stuff. We're starting to see some of the negative effects of it and some of the positive effects of that, and I'm going to go through that in this video. One of the things that they're proposing to change, you guys aren't going to like. Agents and myself kind of like it, but we also know that there's going to be a lot of negative with this. So we'll go over that as well. Let's start off with the positive. I've got a ton of stories I could go through. If you're interested in that, let me know. We'll get into those further. But I've got a couple people I've actually shopped just to help with all this craziness. And I saved a guy $800 a year, basically keeping the same coverages that he has today, retyping it from the old laws to the new ones, and it's saving him a bunch of money. Now, I did shop it across a bunch of different companies, so it ended up being that AAA was his best company, who he was currently with. So it actually made sense for him to keep his current policy, just accept the new law changes, and it ended up saving him every 6 months. It was about $400 less, which is totaling about $800 a year less. He didn't have to change anything with his home, no new inspection, none of that stuff. He did lose the homeowner's discount because it's no longer a rating factor, but at the end of the whole thing, it ended up making a really good benefit for him. That's one of many incidences that I've seen. I've seen a lot of other ones where some people have cut their bill in half, which is crazy. That wasn't the point of the law. It's just some of the side effects. For those single people, non-homeowners, have one vehicle, that type of person, their credit's not so great, that has benefited them by having these changes. Now, I've seen the opposite, to kind of dig in a little bit of the negative, where I would say most of the people that I'm talking to, because most of the people that I've worked with carry those higher coverages. They have the $250,000 and $500,000 or higher. They already have an umbrella. They're homeowners, they're married, they have really good credit, all of that. I've seen some of those kind of go in the opposite direction, and myself included, is the prices have gone up. Now, they're not drastic, so it's not the end of the world for most people, but I've seen them go up $100, $200 on the extreme. I've had a couple people that have gone up thousands. I've had one person in my last video commented they were paying just over $4,000 a year. Now they're saying over $6,000 a year. Only thing you can do at that point is shop. If you guys are interested in getting rates, I'll slap that link below. That way you guys can fill out a quick form, get a quote with multiple companies. It's an option. It's not the point of the video, but it's there for you guys if you need it. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was the new law that they're proposing. So it's Law M, they call it Bill, I think it's called Bill M 4520 or 4520. And I did some research on it. I actually heard of it first through my company that I work with. And then I did some more research and looked at some lawyer websites. What they're proposing, this is a proposal, is that the insurance agents no longer have any risk whatsoever on what they say or recommend. If you're in Michigan and you're an insurance agent, this is kind of like, oh, thank goodness. Part of the reason being is this Michigan reform has been such a crazy cluster, we'll just call it, that it's very, very detailed. There are 1,000 different situations that could be this, could be that. Do they qualify for this? Maybe this. And at the end of the day, it's on you guys. If you guys don't tell us the right coverages or you have the right medical, there's no checking it in some incidences. So we could be giving you the wrong coverage based on what you tell us as far as like who your medical's with. Do they still coordinate? Not did they before. Are they still doing that? What gaps do you have when you're opting out of Medicare A and B? You don't know that. We can't tell you that because it's Medicare's thing. It's what they're denying you. In most cases, a lot of people don't realize, even if you have Medicare A, B, C, D, E, and F and all that stuff, most of those don't include long-term care. You should research that, because if you get injured in an accident, who's going to pay to have a handicap accessible van? Who's going to pay for someone to bathe you or something, or if something major happens? If you don't know about that, we don't know to add those extra coverages, Some companies give you really good deals where they can give you $100,000. Some companies only give you $5,000. So there are some give and takes there depending on what company that you need to go with. And that's where those multi-agents, multi-companies come into play, where they can fit what you're looking for to try to fit that within your budget as well. I'm going to read a couple pieces from this bill. This is straight from the website, right from michigan.gov. I'll actually link this below. So if you guys want to read about this, it's there for you guys to look at. Keep in mind it has not passed. It's not a legal thing yet. So this is something that they're proposing. I do see this as a possibility, mainly because a lot of agents, when I was watching the diffs websites and the different streaming services, a lot of agents were asking questions like, how do I know I'm covered? What we have is something called an E&O claims department, or we have our own insurance. So if we do errors and omissions where we say something wrong, we can get sued. And if we get sued, by the way, all of my disclosures are below. So everything I say in this channel is just my advice. So there's no way for you to come after me. Hopefully you can, but I don't have much, so you can take my camera away. Anyways, if you guys do find something that is incorrect, and let's just say I told you that you're covered for $50,000 for car accidents for your car, right? And I accidentally gave you 20. And so what that does is that error and omissions will pay that extra difference between what I was incorrect about and what you should have had. I don't think that's necessarily going to change in this law, because if I tell you something specifically, that doesn't negate me from being incorrect. If I know this is the rule and I know this is the guideline and this is what I tell you you're getting, then that's what you get. However, if you take your paperwork and read it, it's going to be incorrect if I typed it incorrectly. Even though I told you what it was, you're still signing all of the paperwork accepting these coverages. So what's happening is all of the blame or all of the liability is going to fall on you, because you need to read your pages, your declarations pages. It tells you line by line. Here's your bodily injury. Here's your property damage. Here's your uninsured and underinsured motorists. Here's your PIP. That's the big change in Michigan. Whatever you're carrying, that declaration page is going to tell you what that is. So this may be a little bit confusing, but I'm going to read the actual legal terms. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. This doesn't look crazy. The first part that I see, this is line 26 is where we're starting. It says the licensee, which is me, the insurance agent, expressively undertakes additional duties or obligations beyond exercising the standard care to place, attempt to place, or service the coverage requested by the customer. That is the specific issue in dispute. A license does not expressly undertake an additional duty or obligation by doing so either of the following: using a common phrase of puffery or assurance, such as full coverage, good coverage, or you are covered; offering option for or optional or additional coverage or limits. The customer makes an inquiry to the licensee or takes the licensee a question about the specific issue in dispute. The licensee makes a representation or provides advice or explanation about the specific issue in dispute to the customer. A license does not provide advice by offering options for optional or additional coverage or limits. I'll keep going a little bit more and then we'll stop. The customer makes an ambiguous request to the licensee that warrants clarification about the specific issue in dispute. Special relationship does not include a relationship between a licensee and a customer that is based only on one or more of the following: the length of business or personal relationship between the licensee and the customer, the number of percentage of policies or coverage procured or placed by the licensee for the customer. Standard of care means that the minimum skill and care, knowledge, and expertise possessed and exercised by licensees placing or servicing the same or a comparable type and complexity of coverage with the same, and then it just keeps going. There's a lot of like mumbo jumbo. So this is all like the legal terms. After doing a little bit more research, I also found that this bill was proposed back in 2015. I think it's more prevalent today because of the agents needing to be very specific with these new laws. I'm actually going to skip past the legal bill and I'm going to go to a website called jdsupra.com where they kind of break down some of the lingo and the talk here. So the main points that you want to get out of this, and this is what they're coming up with, is insurance agents should have no duty, obligation to advise their customers about insurance they need and or require to protect their family. Insurance agents should have no duty or obligation to explain, and those are quoted, to their customers that their coverage actually entails. In most circumstances, drivers who are affected by their insurance agent's negligence will be unable to sue for damages. In a rare occasion, circumstances where an insurance agent can be sued, the causes of action and the damages that will be available to the victim will severely and arbitrarily restricted. So they are talking about making some very, very heavy restrictions on what you can now sue your agent for. For most of you, this is not an issue because most agents today are scared of that. And so they're afraid to get sued, so they're very, very knowledgeable. Even with the new PIP reform, the problem that they're starting to see in Michigan is that some agents are flat out lying to you. They're telling you have to have the unlimited. You have to have no less than 500,000, mainly because they don't want to lose the income. If you're with one of those companies and they're telling you the wrong advice, you need to report that to DIFS. I will put that link below so you can file any complaints that you've had, whether the price is crazy, whether you're unhappy with the new law, you want to make some change. I'm going to put that below because that's your guys' right to have that ability. For those that you are legit agents that aren't going to take advantage of this and make it a bad thing, because you can still get in trouble even if you're saying the wrong things on purpose and being negligent. It doesn't give you an excuse to be purposely negligent. But for those of that you know what you're doing, which is most of you, and you're giving the right coverage to the customer, that's why we double check and triple check things. So when we're taking care of the customers, this is kind of a relax, take the weight off your shoulders if this bill passes. It's a good thing for those that know what they're doing. Unfortunately, there's going to be some bad apples that fall from that tree. If you guys need more advice on the PIP reform, I do have a video up here that I will link. This will go over all the specific details of the PIP reform, what your coverage options are, what you can choose, what kind of limits, what are some of the situational stuff that's going to happen. I want you guys to be very well informed. A lot of you are watching these videos very heavily. I'm actually getting about a third of my views coming from the Michigan PIP reform. So I want to make sure you guys leave a comment below. Let me know what you found and what your advice is or what you need advice of, and I will try to help you the best I can. The last thing I wanted to go over is just a couple things about the PIP. So here are some things that you need to focus on. If you haven't watched those videos and you don't have the 10 to 15, 20 minutes to go through the whole thing, I'll give you a summary. What you need to do is you need to find out what kind of medical limits you have. Do you have enough medical outside of car insurance? Will they primarily cover you first? If not, if they'll secondarily cover you, and this isn't talked about enough, if they secondarily will cover you, so they'll say your auto insurance has to be primary, and once you've exhausted that, we'll kick in second, and we'll cover you up to $250,000 or $500,000. Honestly, if it's that level, personally, I'm probably going to lower the PIP down to that $250 mark because they'll pay the $250,000 out of the car insurance. Once that maxes out, your other medical will kick in and cover you for the additional $250 or $500. Most cases in Michigan are lower than $250,000 for medical. For those of you that actually get involved in a major accident and it is extreme case, you're going to regret that decision. So it's kind of the risk level that you want to take. Do you keep that unlimited or do you opt to do a lower option? I'm going to tell you that 90+% in most cases are not going to be above that $250,000 or even $500,000 limit. Now, what you're giving up by doing that is you're giving up the attended care. So make sure that you have attended care maxed out with your current insurance. It's cheap to have, by the way. Make sure you max out that attended care and then see if your secondary insurance through your work or whoever you're buying medical insurance through, make sure that they have any additional attended care. Other than that, figure out what your liability risk is as far as your liability limits. I've always defaulted to $250,000 a person, $500,000 per accident. Seems to be the common. I highly recommend getting an umbrella. That way if somebody chooses the wrong coverage and you hurt them, then they're going to come after you and sue you. You want to make sure you're protected for at least the million. If you have more assets, then you need to go higher than that. If you want more advice, so if you want me to keep making these videos on the Michigan PIP reform, I need you to leave me a comment below, share it or like it or anything you can do to interact with it because I can't see any other which way what you guys are looking for. I'm going to keep moving on to the different states and the different things because this channel is a wide variety channel. So this covers anywhere from New Jersey to Michigan to California to all different states. I'm giving my opinions and my insurance advice because I have been licensed in over 40 some odd states. I think it was like 45 or 46. So I was licensed at certain points. I currently am licensed in several states, but I've got knowledge across the board. If there's anything advice you guys need and you want me to share, let me know so I know what to make the next video for you on. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one.